and namaste, my beautiful friends. I'm Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of April the 28th, 2025. We wrap up the month of April. We step into May. This is a really busy week with some shifting energies. Now remember, we're just coming off of that new moon that was really in a kind of a difficult spot, right? That lovely Tauran energy, just in a tense configuration with both Mars in Leo, Pluto in Aquarius, and Black Moon Lilith standing across the sky in Scorpio. Now, you may have really seen some of the themes coming up, some of the power struggles, and that some of them may have really involved women because of that presence of Lilith. She is going to remain there in a tense angle to both Mars and Pluto, even as the sun moves on. So just be aware of that Scorpio energy, that feeling of there being more depth to matters, being more to the story than might be visible to the eye. That might be something that you kind of feel or sense. And so let that kind of validate. That's why I think half of astrology is just validating our own intuition and experience in some way. So that kind of tones the week. Now, we also still have Saturn and the North Node traveling very close together, South Node across the sky, right? But interestingly, this week as Venus moves on, and she moves into Aries on the 30th of April. As Venus moves on and, says goodbye to Saturn, but says hello to Neptune and Aries, someone she has never met yet, not in this lifetime. We have another goddess asteroid coming up, Ceres, Ceres, the goddess of grain and nurturing. She's going to step up and join Saturn and the North Node. So we still have like a divine feminine force with that stellium. And there's going to be some consequences here. They are going to relate to food-related matters, and health. So observe that. There's several asteroids kind of getting involved with that. Later in May, we also have Hygeia, the asteroid that is related to health, getting in contact with Uranus. It is vital right now, really important that you are taking care of your physical self. Don't put off any checkups if you need that. Remember to think of food as medicine, and make sure that we were probably also good about this during the pandemic, right? But make sure that if you have some medical things at home, just even simple over-the-counter things, that they aren't expired, that you didn't buy them all in 2020 and it's now all of a sudden 2025 and they're no good anymore. Double check the pharmaceutical things, but also your natural remedies and herbs and things like that. Make sure you have what you need to remain healthy at this time. So let's hop into this really interesting week. Now, again, we're going to watch that tension. We're still going to feel that tenseness from that full moon. And then we're going to observe Venus moving into Aries on the 30th. Now, Venus in Aries is completely different energy than Venus in Pisces at the end of the zodiac. She is quite youthful and vibrant in Aries. She's very passionate. She also doesn't have much of a filter. She wants what she wants, and she's going to go for it. Now, this is the third time, right? She's stepping back into it. She's traversing these energies again. She moved through them. She walked back through them, and now she's moving forward. But on the other side, as she moves into there's Neptune in Aries. This is new. So make sure that you're seeing things clearly. Neptune can be so inspirational, so higher level, but it's not an energy that the average human, and most of us are just average humans, it's not an energy we handle with much grace. We can be deluded, we can be confused, we can want to believe something, we can tell ourselves quite the story. But as Kriyananda, my teacher, would always say, that the most consequential deception is self-deception. Be honest with yourself about what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, and what you're sensing. That energy of fire can fill us with desire, but it can also, in Aries, be very childish, very immature. So we need to up-level our energy hygiene also, but also up-level our mature response to what happens, right? Can't change what happens, but we can change our reaction. Now, on the first of the month, we have not only that Neptune-Venus connection, But again, Saturn's still amplified by the North Node. We also have the precise sextile from Uranus to the North and South Node at this time. In fact, I did the Celtic Cross on what to do with this energy, how to make the best of this energy. So stay tuned for that. But this is really potentially something that could look like a silver lining, look like a rainbow coming out after the storm. So look for that. Now, by the time we get to the second of the month, we are going to be feeling the waning energy of Mars-Pluto. Mars is moving on. Pluto is getting ready to move backwards, and in fact, on May 4th, will pause at 3 degrees and begin to move backwards in its retrograde motion. When these big outer planets move backwards, they do it for a really long period of time. So it's not always as obvious as like a Mercury retrograde or a Venus retrograde, but we do observe that station point, that reverberation that it causes as it visually, doesn't actually, but visually appears to pause in the sky and retrace its steps. Remember, we're all still coming around to the new era of Pluto in Aquarius and the changes that it will bring in a new area of your life. So pay attention to that stationary movement, that pause in the sky as it begins to move backwards on the 4th. So another thing to highlight that is going to feel, I think, really good this week is that Mars finally emerges from its retrograde shadow on May the 2nd. So it's moving forward in Leo, and finally it can step into some new energy, step into something that it hasn't already seen, that it hasn't already traversed. And so finally, I think this will start to get some momentum going. Now, remember, we have to wait until May 16th for Venus to get out of the shadow. We're looking forward to that too. But especially Aries and Scorpio people, you are going to really enjoy that feeling of Mars getting out of that old pattern, right? Mars, the warrior, does not like to go back and reconsider what he's done. He wants to have new and next, and off he goes. Off he goes in Leo. So I think that will feel really positive and really good. Now, as far as the light and bright for the week, I am loving Venus getting away from Saturn, even though Aries is not always her best look because she's a little impetuous. I am intrigued to see what will happen when she meets Neptune. I'm also really appreciating Mars getting out of the shadow zone. I feel like so many of us have just felt like we've encountered roadblocks and difficulties, and it's just been hard to get momentum going. So I'm really excited about Mars getting out of the shadow. Pluto stationing retrograde, I'm gonna be observant about that. You definitely want to look and see if you have anything sensitive at 3 degrees of basically anything, to see what might reverberate there. But I can see the benefits of a little slowdown with everything else going direct. So I'll put that in the light category. As far as the shadow of the week, I'm looking at that tension between Mars and Pluto that starts our week, and of course that tension with Black Moon Lilith, and then Venus Neptune. It's just such a wild card. I think it might be a little bit of a tense encounter. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. And those are probably the ones that I'm really looking at to be a little careful, a little cautious. So stick around for the Celtic Cross, that is going to be on how to lean into that lovely connection between between Uranus and the nodes, because I really think that is a saving grace in so many ways. And then also keep in mind, I did record a separate Isis Lotus tarot spread, which gives us 2 different ways to work with the energies of the week. That was a pretty intriguing spread, so check that out. It's also posted on my channel. If you found this useful and helpful, please comment, please give me a like, and I wish you the best with this dramatic shifting energy and a wonderful introduction to the month of May. I'll see you in the tarot. Hello, beautiful friends. Let's check out a Celtic Cross for the week of April the 28th. We're going to take a look at Uranus in a positive connection to the nodes of the moon. Now, we've been dealing with this for a while, and the nodes of the moon have been very, very tangled up with both Saturn and Venus all month. But I feel like this is like delivering the last of the lessons here. Remember, as Uranus moves forward, the nodes are moving backwards, and so they're going to separate. And I feel like the nodes of the moon are really important and something that a lot of times people don't fully understand. And so instead of looking for, an astrological understanding, we're going to look for an understanding through the tarot. So how can we, as a collective, this week take advantage of the karmic blessings between these nodes of fate and Uranus? Celtic Cross. All right, so this is you, King of Pentacles. So definitely focused on money, resources, staying practical, and staying grounded. Always a good idea. And remember, Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus season is upon us. What is crossing you? There's some kind of new thing coming. The Page of Cups is an indicator of an exciting new offer or venture. And so this is somehow tangled up, and that makes sense, right? Because Uranus brings sudden shocking things. It doesn't always have to be bad shocking things. It can be wonderful shocking things. Now, in the past, the Ten of Cups, you've been pretty focused on home life, getting things together at home, having a safe home, an abundant home. This is about money and safety and security and happiness for you and your people, right? Future. So this is what we need to watch out for. And this is the 10 of Wands, which indicates you can't do everything by yourself. You can't try to carry all these burdens yourself. And so don't take on everything. Distribute the load. Ask for help. Delegate if you can. Now, the mind is focused on Three of Pentacles, building something. It's interesting. This card has come up a lot in the collective readings. So we're constructing something new, right? Which makes sense. Makes sense. And our subconscious mind thinks, oh boy, we better be smart about this. Queen of Swords, we better be rational. We better apply our logical mind, our fact-based mind. Advice, the Sun. This is really funny. So isn't that wonderful, though? It showed up in the Isis Lotus spread as well, as far as you being you, you embracing the essence of you, you taking the skills and abilities that you have in order to move forward. And so that is part of what this is showing you. It's showing you you can be yourself, that you don't have to try to imitate anyone else. Authenticity. It also, kind of relates to that Mars and Leo too, about moving forward, taking charge. And another card that we keep getting in the Isis spread as well, 10 of Pentacles. Be in resonance with abundance, with financial abundance, having enough time, money, having enough intelligence, having enough friendships, having enough support, all the abundance, all the wisdom. Really embrace that. It's really telling you you've earned it. Now, the outside influence, the Tower. Yeah, big change is happening. Big change is happening. And the outcome, well, Seven of Cups indicates that we will have more choices due to this Uranian influence with the nodes. But we need to make sure that we are not scattered in our energy, all right? So regroup. Be better at less things instead of just okay at many things. Now, the Little Reader's fan just gives us a little extra story. Don't worry, the star will come after the Tower. You will heal. You will put it back together again. Eight of Cups shows up, which also showed up in the last week's Celtic Cross. That's very interesting. That was about the new moon. But there is still something there lingering that you need to let go of. Page of Swords, we also need to watch our minds, that we're not whining, complaining, focused on the negative. And Seven of Pentacles, we also have to get real. We're not just planting the seeds of tomorrow or next week or next month. We've got to think about the long-term impacts of our choices and decisions at this time. So I hope you found this useful and helpful for managing the Uranian energy. It is flowing beautifully to the Pisces part of your chart, beautifully to the Virgo part of your chart. This is a believe in magic kind of transit. I hope you can take advantage of it. Please drop any comments below. If you have any questions, I would appreciate it if you would share it with a friend. Helps the channel to grow, keeps me motivated to film. I wish you the most marvelous, magical week. Bye.